Hello and welcome to BBC Newsline. The decision to prosecute former soldier Dennis Hutchings was in the public interest, according to the Public Prosecution Service. The 80-year-old died yesterday in the Mater Hospital in Belfast after testing positive for COVID-19. He was on trial here for the attempted murder of John Pat Cunningham near Benburb in 1974. Unionist politicians have criticised the decision to prosecute him. Our Home Affairs correspondent Julian O'Neill is with me. What stage was the trial, Julian, and what has been the fallout?
We were about halfway through what was meant to be a 4-week trial, which started at the beginning of the month. And even before he tested positive for coronavirus, Dennis Hutchings was a very seriously ill man. He was receiving treatment, dialysis treatment for kidney problems, and he had also a heart problem as well. Unionist politicians, including the DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, reacted to news of his death by saying there were serious questions for the PPS, asking why they had decided to proceed with the prosecution when Dennis Hutchings was gravely ill. He also claimed that there was a lack of compelling new evidence. There's been other political reaction too, and this is a flavour of what was said this morning at Stormont.
What we did do is we took a guy in his 80s with kidney failure, with heart disease, and we brought him to court. And some will say, well, that's in the public interest. And some will say, well, in hindsight, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Well, it's not hindsight, because the case was made. The case was made that this would have a detrimental effect on his health, and as we saw, it did.
I'm very conscious that there's a grieving family. I'm very conscious also of the family of John Pat Cunningham, who are also grieving, and for 47 years now have been campaigning for truth and justice. They shouldn't have had to wait this long. My message today will be very straightforward to the British Government. Get on with implementing the Stormont House Agreement. Find a way to allow families to have closure, to deal with the past in an adequate way.
Julian, any reaction from the PPS and the Cunningham family?
Well, the PPS has defended its decision to bring the case this far. It said that following a police investigation in 2015, there was evidence presented to them which had not been previously available at an earlier date. It also pointed out that the Army veteran had the offer of appearing in court via video link. He didn't have to travel to Belfast from his home in Cornwall. In a statement, Mr Cunningham's family took issue with what they described as false and inaccurate allegations around the case from some unionist politicians. It said the reaction from some quarters was framed by the fact the victim was an Irish Catholic.
OK, Julian, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Wearing face coverings in crowded indoor spaces will remain a legal requirement here throughout autumn and winter. The First Minister, Paul Givan, made the announcement while setting out the Executive's winter contingency plans to manage coronavirus. He also warned that if cases rise sharply or hospital pressures become unsustainable, the Executive may then have to deploy vaccine passports in order to ensure as many sectors as possible can stay open. Meanwhile, in the Republic, some of the easing of restrictions that had been planned for this Friday will not now go ahead because of the rising number of people in hospital with COVID. The use of coronavirus certifications for dining and drinking indoors will continue to be needed. The health authorities are also recommending the continued use of masks and social distancing until February next year. A murder investigation has begun after a 23-year-old man died in hospital after being attacked in Portadown in the early hours of Sunday morning. He was Jake Bailey Sloan, who was from the area. The police say he was assaulted outside a bar at the junction of West Street and Mandeville Street. Detectives have been granted more time to question a 22-year-old man. Now, 24 children in Northern Ireland with confirmed or suspected cancers have had to wait over a year to see a consultant. The figures revealed in a review of child health waiting lists by the Northern Ireland Commissioner for Children and Young People and applies to April this year. It's also been revealed that more than 17,000 children have had to wait more than a year to see a consultant for the first time. The Commissioner says the waiting times are terrifying. Our health correspondent, Mary-Louise Connolly, has more.
Children are facing agonising and potentially life-threatening hospital waiting times. While we often talk about adults waiting, the fact that children are waiting too is a worrying picture. This review found that 24 children here with confirmed or suspected cancers had to wait over a year for a first appointment, while more than 17,000 were waiting more than a year to see a consultant for the first time. The figures are part of an in-depth review of child health waiting lists. The report, at first, is both scathing and shocking.
When it came back and when we heard the stories from parents and from young people, and when we looked at the figures, they are terrifying. It's terrifying how many young people are waiting, particularly how many children and young people are waiting for over a year. And it's terrifying to think what that means for their lives.
In a statement, the Health Minister says that waiting times were unacceptable prior to COVID-19 and have been exacerbated by the devastating impact of the pandemic, including, unfortunately, across children's services. From speech and language therapy to autism and mental health, there are children waiting.
I'm very surprised that that number of children have had to wait so long to see a paediatrician. You know, I know that my colleagues will be equally shocked at that waiting time for something that has been labelled as potentially so very serious and concerning.
The report makes 17 recommendations, including creating just one entry system across all health trusts for all child services. Mary-Louise Connolly, BBC Newsline.
A little more than 2 months after the Olympic Games, gymnast Rhys McClenaghan is back in Japan, this time to compete in the World Championships. After the disappointment of a fall during his final routine in Tokyo, he's now relishing the opportunity to bounce back.
I want to be world champion, and after I win these World Championships, I want to win multiple World Championships and multiple Olympic Games. It doesn't stop at each major event, even after Tokyo. That's why it didn't feel like my world had crashed down on me, because I'm thinking ahead to the next one. Even if I had won Olympic Games, I would have been thinking, okay, now World Championships, we need to add that.
Time for the weather now. Barra is here. Hi, Barra.
Thanks very much, Tara. It's been a grey, damp start to the day. Quite a bit of rain through this morning, but most of that has now cleared away. It's still rather cloudy out there, a few spots of light rain and drizzle, but the cloud is likely to break through this afternoon along with a southwesterly wind, so a few glimmers of sunshine can be expected. Temperatures close to 20 degrees as well, so well above average for the time of year. 1 or 2 showers into this evening, but overnight it's going to turn drier. It's also going to be a colder night. Clear skies, temperatures maybe in the mid-single figures in some countryside areas, a little bit milder in the towns and the cities. So a cool start to tomorrow, but a dry start and plenty of sunshine through the morning. There is a chance a little bit of rain could reach the County Down coast late in the morning and towards the lunchtime, but largely dry elsewhere. Temperatures tomorrow down by about 6 or 7 degrees. We're looking at 11 to 12 Celsius despite the sunshine. And then, as you can see behind me, we have rain coming our way tomorrow night. That's going to push its way southwards, and behind it we'll begin to get the cold air coming down from the Arctic. So chillier air is on the way, and right through until this coming weekend, a series of low pressure systems coming in from the Atlantic will keep things a little bit unsettled. Come Thursday, though, it looks as though it will be the windiest day. We could have gales around the coast, especially for the Antrim coast through much of the day. And as a result, temperatures between 10 and 12 degrees will feel noticeably cooler than that. And it stays cool right through until at least the middle of next week.
Barra, thank you. Now a signed news summary with Adam McCormick. The decision to prosecute former soldier Dennis Hutchings was in the public interest, according to prosecutors. The 80-year-old died in a Belfast hospital yesterday after testing positive for COVID-19. He was on trial here for the attempted murder of John Pat Cunningham in 1974. Wearing face coverings in crowded indoor spaces will remain a legal requirement here throughout autumn and winter. It's part of the Executive's COVID contingency plans for the next few months. In the Republic, the easing of some restrictions on Friday will not now go ahead. COVID certs for dining and drinking indoors will continue to be needed. The use of masks and social distancing is also being recommended until next February. A murder investigation has begun after a 23-year-old Jake Bailey Sloan died in hospital. Police say he was assaulted outside a bar in Portadown on Sunday. A 22-year-old man has been rearrested on suspicion of murder. That's it for now. I'll be back with BBC Newsline at 6:30 on BBC One from both of us. Bye-bye.